The Buddha once said something that hits different in our social media age. Silence is preferable to meaningless words. Yeah, that's right. In today's world, we're constantly sharing everything: our breakfast, our breakups, our deepest thoughts, our random shower thoughts at 3 a.m. But here's the thing: not everything is meant to be spoken. I learned this the hard way, actually. There was this time when I shared way too much with someone I thought was a friend. We were sitting in this little coffee shop downtown. You know the type. Overpriced lattes and pretentious artwork on the walls. I was going through a rough patch. My relationship had just ended. My job was stressing me out. And I thought, here's someone who really cares about me. So I spilled everything. My insecurities about my appearance, my financial struggles, my family drama, my deepest fears about the future. I mean, everything. She listened with such empathy, nodding at all the right moments, offering tissues when I teared up. I felt so understood, so supported. Big mistake. 2 weeks later, I found out she'd been sharing my stories with her other friends. Not maliciously, she claimed later, just as conversation. You won't believe what Sarah told me about her ex. Did you know she's struggling to pay rent? My private pain had become her entertainment. My vulnerabilities had become gossip material. That's when Buddhist wisdom really started making sense to me. Not the fluffy Instagram quote version of Buddhism, the real, practical wisdom that's been helping people navigate life's complexities for over 2,500 years. Some things, when shared carelessly, can lead to unnecessary suffering. Others are best kept in quiet protection, like treasures in a vault. Today, we're going to dive deep into 10 things that, according to Buddhist wisdom, should stay private. This isn't about being secretive or antisocial. It's about wisdom. Real wisdom. May this insight bring you clarity and inner peace, because honestly, we all need more of both. 1. Your inner peace. Guard it like gold. True peace isn't found scrolling through Instagram at 2 a.m. or getting validation from strangers on the internet. It's cultivated within, deep within, in those quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts and the world feels still. But have you ever noticed how fragile it can be? You spend weeks, maybe months, building up this sense of inner calm. You meditate regularly. You eat well. You exercise. You read inspiring books. You feel balanced, centered, at peace with yourself and the world. Then boom. One stupid comment on your post. One disagreement at work. One family dinner that goes sideways. Even just someone's random opinion about your life choices can shake your whole inner world like a snow globe in a toddler's hands. I remember watching my neighbor Sarah constantly seeking approval from everyone around her. She'd share every emotion, every thought, every little victory and defeat on social media. Got a promotion? Posted about it immediately, looking for likes and congratulations. Had a fight with her boyfriend? Posted cryptic quotes about how some people don't deserve your energy. Feeling insecure about her appearance. Posted selfies fishing for compliments. And you know what happened? Her mood became completely dependent on other people's reactions. Happy when they approved, devastated when they didn't. She was like an emotional yo-yo, constantly going up and down based on external validation. I watched her spiral into anxiety when a post didn't get enough likes. I saw her get genuinely upset when someone didn't respond to her messages fast enough. Her inner peace, which should have been her anchor, had become this fragile thing that anyone could destroy with a single comment or lack thereof. Buddhism teaches something powerful here. True peace arises from detachment, not from being cold or uncaring, but from detaching yourself from unnecessary conflict, from unrealistic expectations, from the emotions that others try to dump on you like toxic waste. When we frequently share our innermost thoughts and emotions with others, we're basically handing them the remote control to our inner world. We might be seeking validation, support, understanding, but instead, we often receive doubt, criticism, sometimes even envy. People can be weird like that. They'll smile to your face while secretly judging your choices or feeling threatened by your happiness. I have a friend who learned this lesson the hard way. Lisa was going through a spiritual awakening of sorts. She'd started meditating, reading Buddhist texts, completely changing her lifestyle. She was genuinely happy for the first time in years. But instead of quietly enjoying her transformation, she felt compelled to share every insight, every breakthrough, every moment of clarity with anyone who would listen. The reactions were mixed. Some people were supportive, sure, but others were skeptical. Oh, Lisa's going through her spiritual phase. Others were dismissive. This is just another one of her fads. Some were even hostile. She thinks she's better than us now. Their reactions started affecting her. She began doubting her path. Was she being too dramatic? Was this just a phase? Were people right to be skeptical? The beautiful inner peace she'd cultivated began to crumble under the weight of other people's opinions and expectations. Rather than exposing your inner world to the ever-changing opinions of others, guard it. Guard it like a sacred temple. Share your kindness, sure. Share your wisdom and presence. But don't let anyone disturb the serenity you've worked so damn hard to cultivate. Your peace is yours. It's not up for debate, discussion, or approval. Keep it that way. Think of inner peace like a delicate flame. It needs protection from the wind. Too much exposure to the storms of other people's emotions, opinions, and reactions can blow it out. Once it's extinguished, it takes time and effort to relight it. The wisest people I know have learned to distinguish between sharing their light and exposing their flame. They radiate peace and calm, but they don't constantly explain how they achieved it or seek validation for their spiritual journey. 2. Your negative thoughts. Don't feed the demons. The Buddha once said something that'll make you think twice before your next complaint session. No external enemy can harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. Think about that for a second. Your worst enemy isn't that annoying coworker who steals your lunch from the fridge. It's not that ex who hurt you. It's not even that neighbor who plays music too loud. It's your own mind when it goes dark. The mind is like a garden, right? When you nourish it with positivity, it flourishes. Beautiful flowers everywhere. Butterflies, sunshine, the whole peaceful scene. But when you fill it with negativity, it withers, dies, becomes this ugly, toxic wasteland where nothing good can grow. It's so easy to complain, though, to criticize, to dwell on life's difficulties and share them with anyone who'll listen. I used to be that person who'd vent to everyone about everything wrong in my life. My job sucked. The boss was incompetent. The pay was terrible. The office was too cold. My relationships were complicated. Nobody understood me. Everyone was selfish. Love was dead. Traffic was terrible. The weather was depressing. The news was awful. Everything was just wrong. I had this routine. I'd get to work and immediately start complaining to whoever would listen. Can you believe what happened to me this morning? You won't believe how rude that cashier was. Did you see what the president said yesterday? I thought I was just being social, connecting with people through shared frustration. But here's what I didn't realize then. Each time we give voice to negative thoughts, we're not just burdening ourselves. We're burdening everyone around us too. I was like a negativity vampire, sucking the joy out of every conversation, every interaction, every room I entered. Words hold immense power. They can heal, but they can also harm. And once they're spoken, you can't take them back. Ever. They're out there in the universe, creating ripples, affecting not just you, but everyone who hears them. I remember this one time at a family gathering. My aunt was going through a divorce, and she spent the entire evening sharing every horrible detail about her soon-to-be ex-husband. How he was lazy, how he was a liar, how he'd wasted the best years of her life. She went on, and we all listened politely because, well, she was family and she was hurting. But by the end of the night, the whole mood had shifted. Everyone felt drained, depressed, angry. The children were picking up on the negative energy and started acting out. What should have been a joyful family reunion had become this heavy, dark cloud of negativity. One person's unguarded negative thoughts had infected the entire gathering. This is why the Buddha emphasized right speech. Only speak what is true, necessary, and kind. Before sharing a thought, especially a negative one, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, does this bring peace or does it create suffering? Does it help or does it harm? Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If it doesn't meet these criteria, maybe it's better left unspoken. But this doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means being mindful about when, where, and with whom you share your struggles. There's a difference between seeking support from trusted friends and family and dumping your negativity on anyone within earshot. I learned to distinguish between processing my emotions and broadcasting them. When I'm feeling negative, I might write in my journal, or talk to my therapist, or call my best friend, who I know can handle my darker moments with compassion and wisdom. But I don't post about it on social media. I don't complain to the cashier at the grocery store. I don't turn every casual conversation into a therapy session. The words you choose shape both your reality and the world around you. Choose wisely. There's actually scientific research backing this up. Studies have shown that complaining literally rewires your brain for negativity. Every time you complain, you're making it easier for your brain to find more things to complain about. It's like creating a neural pathway that leads straight to misery. On the flip side, when you practice gratitude and positive speech, you're training your brain to notice the good things in life. You're creating neural pathways that lead to happiness, contentment, and peace. 3. Your personal vulnerabilities. Not everyone deserves access. When we're struggling, it's natural to seek support from others. We're human beings, not robots. We need connection, understanding, empathy. But here's the harsh truth that took me years to learn. Not everyone who listens truly understands. And not everyone who smiles has good intentions. Some people are just collecting your pain for their own entertainment. In our desperate desire for connection, we sometimes reveal too much. Our weaknesses, our fears, our past mistakes, our deepest insecurities. We do this without considering that not all ears are kind and not all hearts are pure. Some people are emotional vampires, feeding off your struggles to make themselves feel better about their own lives. I had a friend once who seemed so understanding, so caring. Let's call her Jennifer. We met at a yoga class. How's that for irony? She had this way of asking really deep, personal questions that made you feel seen and understood. "How are you really doing?" she'd ask, with this intense eye contact that made you feel like she genuinely cared. So I opened up to her. I shared my deepest insecurities with her, my childhood trauma, how my father left when I was 8, and I'd been dealing with abandonment issues ever since, my relationship failures, how I kept choosing partners who were emotionally unavailable because that's what felt familiar, my financial struggles, how I was drowning in student loan debt and could barely afford rent some months. She listened with such apparent compassion, asking follow-up questions, offering hugs, telling me how brave I was for sharing. I thought I'd found a true friend, someone who really understood me. Turns out she was sharing my stories with others as gossip. Not maliciously, she claimed when I confronted her. She was just concerned about me and wanted advice from mutual friends about how to help. But I started noticing things. Other people in our yoga class would give me these pitying looks. Someone once asked me randomly how I was handling my daddy issues. Another person offered to lend me money out of the blue. I felt exposed, violated, humiliated. My vulnerabilities, which I'd shared in confidence, had become public knowledge. Jennifer had used my trust to make herself feel important, like she was this wise, caring person who knew everyone's secrets. Buddhism teaches the value of self-awareness. While sharing vulnerabilities can lead to healing, revealing them to the wrong people can bring tremendous pain. Some may judge you harshly, seeing your struggles as weaknesses rather than human experiences. Others may use your words against you later, especially if your relationship sours. And some, they don't even care. They're just being polite while secretly enjoying the drama of your life. True wisdom lies in discerning who is worthy of your trust. Before opening your heart, ask yourself some hard questions. Is this person capable of understanding my struggles with genuine compassion? Have they proven themselves trustworthy with smaller confidences? Do they share their own vulnerabilities? Or do they just collect mine? Are they someone who builds people up or tears them down? Am I exposing myself to unnecessary harm? Choose wisely. Entrust your deepest wounds only to those who will handle them with care. Your vulnerability is sacred. Don't throw it around like confetti at a party where you don't know half the guests. I learned to create circles of trust. My innermost circle consists of maybe 3 people: my therapist, my sister, and my childhood best friend. These are people who have proven, over time, that they can handle my deepest struggles with love, wisdom, and discretion. They don't judge, they don't gossip, they don't use my pain against me. The next circle might include close friends who I trust with certain things, but not everything. Then there are acquaintances who I'm friendly with, but who don't get access to my personal struggles. And finally, there are strangers and casual connections who only see the surface level of my life. This isn't about being fake or secretive. It's about being wise. It's about recognizing that intimacy is earned, not given freely to anyone who asks the right questions or seems sympathetic. Your struggles are part of your story, but they're not the whole story. And they're certainly not entertainment for people who haven't earned the right to know them. 4. Your future plans. Move in silence. The Buddha taught that attachment to the future brings suffering. When we frequently speak about our goals, we create expectations, not only for ourselves, but also in the minds of others. And with rising expectations comes crushing pressure to succeed, judgment if we fail, and unwanted opinions about our choices. Many people share their dreams hoping to receive encouragement. Social media makes this worse. Everyone's announcing their next big move. I'm starting a business. I'm writing a novel. I'm moving to Bali. I'm going back to school. I'm learning French. But premature words can invite doubt, even envy. The more we talk, the more we expose ourselves to outside opinions, distractions, and negative energy that can weaken our confidence. I learned this lesson when I announced my plan to switch careers. I'd been working in marketing for about 5 years, and I was miserable. The work felt meaningless. The office politics were exhausting. I was having anxiety attacks on Sunday nights just thinking about Monday morning. So I decided to pursue my passion for writing and maybe freelance or start a blog. I was excited about this decision. It felt like finally taking control of my life. So naturally, I wanted to share this excitement with others. I posted about it on social media. I told my co-workers. I shared my plans with extended family at a barbecue. I thought people would be supportive, maybe even inspired by my courage to follow my dreams. Boy, was I wrong. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Are you sure that's wise in this economy? Writing doesn't pay well, you know. The market is so saturated with bloggers already. You know, my cousin tried freelancing and it was a disaster. What about your benefits? How will you afford your apartment? Maybe you should wait until you have more savings. Their doubts became my doubts. Their fears became my fears. I started second-guessing myself. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was being impulsive. Maybe I should play it safe. What if I failed? What if I couldn't make it work? What if I ended up broke and had to crawl back to my old job? The worst part was that people kept asking about my progress. How's the writing going? Have you made any money yet? When are you quitting your day job? Every question felt like pressure. Every update felt like I was being judged. If I had a good week, I felt like I had to prove I was succeeding. If I had a bad week, I felt like I was confirming their doubts. Instead, let your actions speak for you. Move in silence. Stay focused on your work. Allow success to unfold naturally, without constant commentary from the peanut gallery. The most powerful achievements are those that surprise the world, not those that are declared before they happen. There's something magical about working quietly toward your goals. No external pressure, no unnecessary opinions, no energy wasted on defending your choices or managing other people's expectations. Just you and your vision, growing stronger in silence. I think about some of the most successful people I know. They didn't announce their plans on social media. They didn't seek approval from everyone they met. They just quietly worked toward their goals, day after day, week after week, until one day they had something amazing to show for it. The surprise element made their success even more impressive. My friend Marcus is a perfect example of this. For 2 years, he was quietly working on an app idea while keeping his day job as an accountant. He didn't tell anyone except his wife and his development partner. He didn't post about it on LinkedIn. He didn't seek validation or advice from casual acquaintances. He just worked on it every evening and weekend, slowly building something he believed in. When he finally launched the app, it was incredible. Within 6 months, he had thousands of users and was making enough money to quit his day job. People were shocked. When did you learn to code? How long have you been working on this? Why didn't you tell anyone? His success was so much more impactful because it came out of nowhere. Compare that to another friend who announced every business idea he had. I'm starting a podcast. 2 episodes later, silence. I'm launching a fitness blog. A few posts later, nothing. I'm creating an online course. Never happened. Because he spent more energy talking about his plans than actually executing them. When you keep your plans private, you also protect them from negative energy. Not everyone wants to see you succeed. Some people, consciously or unconsciously, will try to discourage you from pursuing your dreams. Maybe they're jealous. Maybe they're scared of change. Maybe they're projecting their own fears and limitations onto you. But when you work in silence, you're protected from all of that. You can focus on what matters, the actual work of making your dreams come true. This doesn't mean you can't seek advice or support, but choose carefully who you share your plans with. Pick people who have achieved similar goals. Choose mentors who can offer real guidance, not just opinions. Select friends who have a track record of supporting your growth, not undermining it. 5. Your acts of kindness, the secret power of anonymous good. In a world where recognition is constantly sought, genuine kindness has become rare. So many people perform good deeds, but only for praise or validation. They volunteer and post about it on Instagram with hashtags like #blessed and #givingback. They help someone and make sure everyone knows through Facebook posts and tweets. They donate to charity and share the receipt on social media. But the Buddha once said something beautiful. A good deed brings joy to the heart, whether seen or unseen. When we act kindly, we should do so out of love and compassion, not for applause. If you give, do so without expectation. If you help, do so without seeking credit. The true reward of kindness is the joy it brings within, not the applause it earns from others. I remember my grandmother, who used to secretly pay for groceries for struggling families at our local store. This was back in the 90s, before social media, but even then she could have told people about her generosity. She could have mentioned it to her friends at church, or shared it with our family to show what a good person she was. But nobody knew except the store owner, and she made him promise not to tell. She'd just quietly take care of people. She'd notice when someone was counting change carefully or putting items back because they couldn't afford them. Then she'd discreetly ask the cashier to add their items to her bill. I only found out about this after she passed away. The store owner told me at her funeral. He said she'd been doing it for over 20 years. Hundreds of families had been helped, and none of them ever knew it was her. No photos, no posts, no recognition. Just pure, selfless love in action. The impact of her anonymous kindness was profound, not just on the families she helped, but on her own spirit. She had this incredible peace about her, this joy that seemed to come from within. She didn't need external validation because she knew she was living according to her values. Buddhism teaches that the purest generosity is selfless. When you help others without seeking recognition, you're acting from your highest self. You're not doing it for your ego or your image. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Social media has made this challenging. We're conditioned to share everything. Look at me volunteering at the soup kitchen. Check out this homeless person I helped. But this turns genuine compassion into performance art. The deed becomes about you, not the person you're helping. I volunteered at a homeless shelter for a while, and I was shocked by how many people would show up with their phones out, taking selfies with the people they were serving. They'd post these photos with captions about how grateful they were to give back, and how the experience had changed their perspective. But you could tell their focus was on getting the perfect shot for their social media, not on actually connecting with the people they were supposed to be helping. The real value of generosity lies in the joy it brings you, not in the approval of others. Some of the most meaningful help I've given has been anonymous. Nobody knew. Nobody applauded. But the satisfaction was pure and lasting. There's this homeless man who sits outside my local coffee shop. Instead of posting about it or making a big show, I quietly buy him coffee and a sandwich when I can. Sometimes we chat, sometimes we don't. There are no photos, no posts, no public recognition. Just one human being helping another because it feels right. The joy I get from these small acts of kindness is different from the temporary high of social media likes. It's deeper, more sustained. It's the joy of knowing I'm living according to my values, regardless of who sees or doesn't see. Anonymous kindness also protects the dignity of the person you're helping. When you post about helping someone, you're essentially using their struggle as content for your personal brand. You're making their difficult situation about your good deed. That's not kindness. That's exploitation. True kindness is about the other person, not about you. It's about meeting someone's need without making them feel like they owe you gratitude or recognition. It's about preserving their dignity while alleviating their suffering. So the next time you perform an act of kindness, let it be a silent offering to the universe. The greatest blessings require no recognition. They're felt in the quiet moments when nobody's watching but the universe is smiling. 6. Your financial status. Money talks, but wisdom. Whispers, money is one of those sensitive topics that can cause more problems than it solves. Discussing your financial situation openly can invite unnecessary drama into your life. Whether you're wealthy or struggling, sharing too much can lead to jealousy, judgment, or unwanted expectations from others. I've seen wealthy people become targets once word got out about their money. Suddenly, everyone needs a loan. Everyone has a business opportunity that's guaranteed to make millions. Everyone expects you to pick up every check when you go out. Your relationships become complicated because you never know if people like you for who you are or what you have. My friend David learned this the hard way. He started a small tech company in his garage and, after years of struggle, finally had a breakthrough. His app took off and he sold it for several $1,000,000. He was so excited about his success that he shared the news widely, with friends, on social media, at his high school reunion. Within weeks, the requests started pouring in. Old friends he hadn't heard from in years suddenly wanted to catch up. His inbox was full of business proposals and investment opportunities. Family members who had previously been distant started showing up at his door with financial emergencies. The worst part was how it changed his existing relationships. When he went out with friends, there was this awkward tension around money. If he paid for dinner, people felt uncomfortable. If he didn't, they whispered that he was cheap. If he bought something nice for himself, he was being showy. If he didn't, he was being fake humble. He told me later that he felt like he couldn't be himself anymore. Every interaction was filtered through people's knowledge of his wealth. He started wondering if his girlfriend loved him or his bank account. He questioned whether his friends actually enjoyed his company or just wanted access to his money. On the flip side, I've watched people share their financial struggles only to be judged as irresponsible or lazy. My co-worker, Sarah, was going through a difficult divorce and was honest about her financial stress. She mentioned that she was worried about making rent, that she'd had to move in with her parents, that she was struggling to pay for her son's school supplies. Instead of receiving support, she got lectures. Maybe you shouldn't have gotten divorced. You should have saved more money. Why don't you get a second job? Have you tried budgeting? People acted like her financial struggles were moral failings rather than the result of circumstances largely beyond her control. Instead, practice humility and discretion. True abundance doesn't come from how much you have in your bank account. It comes from your ability to live contentedly with what you've got. Some of the happiest people I know aren't rich in money, but they're rich in peace. They don't stress about keeping up appearances or proving their worth through their wallet. I learned this from my neighbor, Mrs. Chen. She was a retired teacher living on a modest pension, but she had this incredible contentment about her. She grew her own vegetables, mended her own clothes, found joy in simple pleasures like reading library books and watching birds in her garden. She never complained about not having enough money. She never seemed envious of people who had more. She was genuinely happy with her simple life. When I asked her about it once, she said, "Rich and poor are states of mind. I have everything I need and most of what I want. What more could I ask for?" Keep your financial business private. It's nobody else's concern anyway. Whether you're doing well or struggling, Your money situation is personal information that doesn't need to be shared widely. If you're doing well financially, practice gratitude privately. Enjoy your success without flaunting it. Use your resources wisely and generously, but don't make your wealth the center of your identity or your relationships. If you're struggling financially, focus on solutions rather than broadcasting your problems. Seek help from appropriate sources, financial advisors, family members who can actually help, support groups. But don't turn every conversation into a discussion of your money troubles. Money is a tool, not a measure of your worth as a human being. How much you have or don't have doesn't define your value, your character, or your potential for happiness. Keep it in perspective and keep it private. 7. Your family conflicts. Keep it in the family. Every family has its challenges. That's just reality. Show me a family without conflicts, and I'll show you a family where people aren't being honest with each other. But speaking about personal family issues with outsiders can create more harm than good. Family drama is complicated enough without adding outside opinions and judgments to the mix. When you share family conflicts with others, several things can happen, none of them good. It leads to misunderstandings because outsiders only hear one side of the story. It creates gossip. People love family drama that isn't their own, and it causes unnecessary drama that spreads beyond your family circle. I learned this when I vented to a coworker about my difficult relationship with my sister. We'd been fighting for months about how to care for our aging mother. She thought Mum should move to an assisted living facility. I thought we should hire in-home care. It was a complex situation with valid arguments on both sides, but the stress of making this decision had us both on edge. So I started talking about it at work. During lunch breaks, I'd complain about how stubborn my sister was being, how she didn't understand Mum's needs, how she was being selfish and just wanted the easy solution. I felt better after venting, like I was getting support for my position. Before I knew it, the whole office knew about my family business. People started taking sides. Some agreed with me that in-home care was better. Others thought my sister had a point about assisted living. They'd offer unsolicited advice, share stories about their own family situations, and generally treat our private conflict like a soap opera they could weigh in on. It was embarrassing, and it made things worse at home because my sister found out through mutual friends that I'd been talking about our situation at work. She felt betrayed and humiliated. "How could you air our family's dirty laundry to strangers?" she asked. And she was right. I had taken our private family matter and made it public entertainment. Family conflicts are usually rooted in deep, complex histories that outsiders can't possibly understand. That fight about money might really be about childhood feelings of favoritism. That disagreement about holiday plans might actually be about unresolved grief. That argument about parenting styles might stem from generational trauma. Keep it in the family. Work through conflicts with the people involved. Seek professional help if needed. Family therapists, mediators, counselors. These are people trained to help families navigate difficult situations with confidentiality and expertise. Remember that families are forever. That coworker you're venting to will probably change jobs and move on. But your family members will still be your family in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Protect those relationships by handling conflicts with discretion and care. 8. Your spiritual practices. The ego's favorite trap. Your journey toward enlightenment is deeply personal. While sharing insights can inspire others, constantly discussing your spiritual progress may lead to ego-driven attachment. And that defeats the whole purpose, doesn't it? True wisdom lies in embodying your practice rather than proclaiming it. Let your actions reflect your growth rather than your words. I've met people who talk endlessly about their meditation practice, their chakras, their spiritual awakening, their connection to the universe. But their behavior tells a different story. They're still angry, judgmental, and self-centered. I remember this guy from a meditation group who would dominate sharing time, talking about his profound experiences during meditation and his insights into the nature of consciousness. He used all the right spiritual language and seemed to have read every spiritual book ever written. But he was also the most judgmental person in the group. He'd criticize other people's meditation techniques and make it clear he was more advanced than the rest of us. His spirituality had become another way to feel superior to others. The most spiritually advanced people I know rarely talk about their practices. They just live them. Their peace is evident in how they handle conflict. Their compassion shows in how they treat difficult people. Their wisdom speaks through their actions, not their Instagram posts about morning meditation. When we constantly talk about our spiritual practices, we risk turning them into performance. We start practicing for the story we'll tell rather than for the actual benefit. We begin seeking validation for our spiritual progress rather than just progressing. I went through a phase where I was constantly posting about my meditation practice on social media. Pictures of my meditation corner, quotes from spiritual teachers, updates about my insights and breakthroughs. I thought I was inspiring others and sharing wisdom. But looking back, I realize I was mostly feeding my ego. I liked the image of myself as a spiritual person. I was more interested in other people's perception of my spirituality than in my actual relationship with the divine. Your spiritual journey is between you and whatever you consider sacred: God, the universe, your higher self, cosmic consciousness. It's not a performance for others. Keep it sacred by keeping it private. 9. Your relationship problems, sacred bonds, deserve privacy. Your romantic relationships are sacred bonds that deserve protection from outside interference. When troubles arise, the urge to seek advice from friends or family can be overwhelming. But sharing intimate details about your relationship struggles often creates more problems than it solves. I watched my friend Maria share every disagreement with her husband, with her sister, best friend, and mother. She thought she was getting support, but what actually happened was that her support network began to hate her husband. They only heard about him during their worst moments. When Maria and her husband would work through their issues and reconcile, her family and friends couldn't let go of their resentment. The very people who were supposed to support their relationship had become invested in its failure. Buddhism teaches that relationships are opportunities for growth, compassion, and understanding. But they require privacy to flourish. When you constantly expose your relationship's vulnerable moments to outside judgment, you're inviting other people to become stakeholders in something that should remain between two people. Instead, protect your relationship by working through conflicts together. Seek couples counseling if needed. But resist the urge to turn your friends and family into a jury that's constantly deliberating the fate of your relationship. 10. Your personal wins. Let success speak for itself. There's something beautiful about quiet confidence, about achieving something meaningful and letting the results speak for themselves, rather than announcing every victory to the world. The Buddha taught about the danger of pride and attachment to outcomes. When we constantly broadcast our successes, we risk inviting envy from others, creating pressure to maintain a perfect image, and becoming attached to external validation rather than internal satisfaction. I learned this when I completed my first marathon. I posted about it constantly: training updates, inspirational quotes, race photos. But instead of feeling satisfied with my personal achievement, I found myself checking how many likes my posts were getting. My personal victory had somehow become about other people's perception of my success. Meanwhile, my running partner barely posted about her marathon, just a simple photo with her medal. But when I saw her a week later, she was still glowing with quiet satisfaction. Her joy seemed deeper, more sustainable than mine. True fulfillment comes from within, not from external recognition. When you achieve something meaningful, let yourself feel the satisfaction privately first. There's a difference between genuine sharing and performative broadcasting. The most successful people I know often achieve their biggest wins quietly. They don't announce every step forward. They just keep working, keep growing, keep achieving. When their success becomes undeniable, it's even more impressive because it emerged from consistent, focused effort rather than constant promotion. Let your work speak for you. Your personal wins are yours to savor. Don't rush to give them away to social media. Hold them close, let them nourish your soul, and trust that the right people will notice your growth without you having to announce it. In a world full of noise, your quiet confidence will be the most powerful statement of all. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us that true peace comes from within, not from the approval of others. These 10 things are sacred aspects of your life that deserve protection. By keeping them private, you're not being secretive, you're being wise. You're protecting your energy, your relationships, and your inner world from unnecessary chaos and judgment. In a world that encourages us to share everything, choosing what to keep private is a radical act of self-preservation and wisdom. Some things are too precious to share with everyone, and that's exactly as it should be. Thanks for watching. Click here to check out another video.